And we are live. What's going on, everybody? I am Adam. This is Highly Articulated, and today we are going to talk about some soon-to-be-made toys and one soon-to-be-available toy. And that's about it, because I am sick, and I don't... and I don't know if my voice will last that long, so we're gonna cover that stuff, and that's it. And then we'll be done for the day. Just a quick one, and by a quick one, I mean it'll probably still be a solid hour. But anyway, I just need to send a message that I forgot to send. Okay. Feeling good. Feeling great. Let's do this. Okay, so as I said, today we're going to talk about some soon-to-be toys. The Cryptoids War for the Green Planet has successfully hit their funding goal. Now, I don't like to jinx anything. I don't like to say that something is funded until the campaign ends, because worst case scenario, and I know this isn't going to happen. I have complete faith in this project now, but I mean, everybody could back out between now and the end. So I'm just saying, and I know that's a very pessimistic sort of view, but that's my sort of conservative nature when it comes to things like that. Makes me sort of phrase it that way, like that money's not in the bank yet, so I want to see it succeed. I want to see I want them to hit more of their stretch goals. I want them to see more, but yeah, they've still got a while left on the campaign. They went for a long campaign, which I believe I probably told them was not the best idea, but somebody else told them it was a good idea, so they went long. So this campaign, they're gonna get, you just get longer drags. You just get a longer period in the middle, where the growth doesn't seem as much, and then you kind of get into you get more time to be in a weird sort of headspace. But they're doing just fine. And I just realized that I was going to share that page, but I actually logged out, and so I have to change the dollars to US dollars, because everybody understands US dollars. Not everybody understands Canadian dollars. I don't understand Canadian dollars. Okay, what am I talking about? What am I rambling on about? I don't know. So let's focus. Let's get into this. My mind's going in a million different directions, which I will talk about. But before that, let's say hello to the chat. Mr. Ryan Clark is here. Josh Brown Toys, Christopher Bouchard, Nolan is here as well. Larry's Geeky World, Retro Toy Princess. Good to have you, Allison. Always a pleasure. Terrence is next. Toy. Good to have you as well, Terrence. It's must be nice to have a weekend where you don't have a convention that you need to be at, dressed up like a pirate. And hey, and Terrence, new member. Prepare to be disappointed. Red 5 is here as well. Let's see. Mr. Ryan Clark says, I don't understand USD. At least our money has cool animals and boats. Yes, and I will say this actually. I went I went to the bank to convert some Canadian dollars to US dollars, and I got my US dollars, and they were all brand new, sequential bills. Just like in the movies where they rob banks and they say we want non-sequential bills. If you go to the bank, you get sequential bills, which is weird. They're all stuck together. They're all perfect. They're all mint, and they stick together. U.S. dollars are U.S. currency is printed on like paper. It feels like paper to Canadians, at least to a lot of places, I'm sure. It feels flimsy. It feels cheap. It feels like paper, and it's all stuck together. Like I'm always worried that I'm giving people too much money when I'm paying in US dollars. So I get my sequential bills and I bring them home and I actually crumple them up. Like I separate them and I crumple them up. My kid was like, "What are you doing?" And I had to explain all of this to her. And but now it's sufficiently sort of crumpled and imperfect to where it doesn't stick together quite as badly anymore. So that was actually my one of my activities that I had to complete this morning, to 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 rough up my money so that it didn't feel so weird when I pull it out of my pocket to use it to buy things like droids and churros at Disneyland in a couple weeks. Um, Gabrielle is here as well. Good to have you, buddy. Um, yeah, Josh Brown. Yeah, US currency has a lot of white dudes on it. I went through all the bills, one through not all the bills. I didn't have a $2 bill. I went through all the money, all the bills. I went a 1, a 5, a 10, a 20, a 50, and a 100. We were going over who's on the money, and what buildings are on them. Yeah, US currency is really boring, and it's all the same color. It's all green, which is like all the more reason that it's hard to sort of pay for things. I don't know. I don't know why that's you. I think it's probably got to be just about the only country left in the world that just uses all green paper money. Um, we get Canadians get made fun of by Americans. They say our money is like monopoly money. However, um, it's all different colors for a reason. You never give somebody too much money because you know which color you're supposed to give them. It's just way easier. Just saying. Also, while I'm ranting about Canadian things that are better, the metric system. And if you don't know how the metric system works, you're only American because everybody else in the world uses it. Bride Brink says I also crumble up new money. Well, it makes sense, right? Mr. Ryan Clark, I like our plastic money. It's more durable. Yes, it is. It's way more durable. I think we got the sort of idea for our current money from Australian money, which has that same kind of plastic content to it. It is still, fabric, but there's a plastic content to it. And anyway, enough about that. Enough about money. Let's talk about the things that we spend our money on. Um, Raceland Zero, which is a name that I'm not familiar, says, "Dang YouTube for automatically putting new videos on mute. I didn't know that it did that. It doesn't do that for me, I don't think." Um, Mr. Ryan Clark says the metric system is a tool of the devil. My car gets 40 divots to the rod, and that's the way I likes it. Yeah, I always I the Saturday Night Live video, where it's like the founding fathers determining what units of measurement they're going to use, and I don't know those measurements. I don't, so I can't sort of retell that joke very well because it's like, well, how many pounds in a ton, and it's random, and how many feet to a yard, and how many yards to a mile, and like it doesn't make any sense. It's all subjective, arbitrary things, and then they get measured by other subjective, arbitrary things. Anyway, the metric system. Everything is divisible by 10. Everything. And they cross over. You can measure liquids and you could measure weights in the same things, and it's all just multiples of 10. It's easy. Just do it. Anyway, even okay. Since I'm on this rant, even Fahrenheit and Celsius. Okay. What is a really common thing that people measure in temperature? The boiling point of water, right? That's a good place to start. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. I don't even know what it is in Fahrenheit. No, boiling, yeah, 100 degrees Celsius. No idea what it is in Fahrenheit. What is a freezing point? 0. So everything that exists contains water. And so it either is frozen or it is gas or it's most of the time in the middle. So it's a percentage scale. Okay? It's percentage. It's easy. Fahrenheit. How does that get measured? Well, a guy chose a number to be one end of the spectrum, and then that's it. He just arbitrarily picked a number. I think he picked a number based on something, but I think it was like a really, really random thing. Fun fact, the Fahrenheit system was invented in I want to say Austria. Maybe it was Poland. It was one of those countries, but let's say Austria for the sake of the anecdote. So the Fahrenheit system was invented in Austria, and it is now currently used in 2 countries in the world. One of them is not Austria. So what does that tell you? Mr. Ryan Clark says this is how we fill the hour of the show. Keep on vamping. Yes, there we go. No, I'm done. 212. 212 is the boiling point, and 32 degrees is freezing. Of course. Why wouldn't it be? What other number would you possibly choose to be those points, right? No, not violence. Of course not. Never violence. That's the thing. It's it should the answer should never be violence, but that's another channel. Um that's another channel. How would the metric system work for the different action figure scales? I'll tell you what, it would probably be more uniform. It would probably be more uniform because it's a way easier way to measure things and it's way more accurate. Because it uses decimal points rather than fractions. It's yeah, again, right, like what how much is 7/8 of an inch? How much is like 3/32 of a whatever? I don't know. Josh Brown says we needed more range because we can't handle decimal points. Why not? Decimal points are a metric thing, right? That's the other thing. Like decimal points are a reference to percentage, like 1/100ths, 1/10ths. That's decimal points are all metric, whether you like it or not. They use the same format. Oh my goodness. Mr. Brian Brink says, what would be the McFarlane scale measured in metric? Todd is Canadian. Is that why his figures are too tall? Probably. They're probably like 20 centimeters tall or something like that. But let's use talking about toys to segue into talking about toys. The Cryptoids Kickstarter is all I've been paying attention to this past week. I am over the moon for these guys. They've done incredibly well in their first 6 days now. I had wanted to do a very quick recorded video to tell everybody to go on the Cryptoids and get their order in if they hadn't already, to get the early bird release, which was the glow in the dark Sasquatch armor. But if you're watching this live and you didn't get your order in, you're not getting it. So I'll talk about what you missed. But I did not have the energy or the motivation in the end to do that. So I just reshared an Instagram post and said, and called it a day. Um, I'm very, very excited about this. That should come as no surprise to anybody that's watching. Um, I've been excited about this for a while. I love the look and the design of these figures. I love the sort of people working on this project. And then, beyond that, just independent toy lines, doing cool stuff, I will always support. Now that support looks different depending on the project. I'll support lines for one figure if I don't really love the figures themselves. But this is not the case for Cryptoids. Cryptoids was one that I'm pretty excited about. I didn't go all in. I didn't need to go crazy. I you know I didn't back like the crazy epic all in equivalent tier. I back for the heroes, and then I'll get an alien, I'll get a reptoid kind of thing. But um yeah, I didn't go too crazy. But anyway, let's take a look at the campaign. Currently sitting at just over $190,000 US of their $150,000 goal. So they're 40,000 over their funding goal, which is great. They are theoretically funded, which is great. It's a good place to be in, especially within the first few days, the first week of your campaign, because then it allows you to sort of campaign from a position of celebration and sort of positive encouragement and positive engagement with backers, to talk about what comes next, what they can expect, all that kind of stuff. It takes a huge, huge, huge load off of the creators to get early funding. Not only does Kickstarter kind of have their algorithm work in your favor, but from a creator's perspective, from the sort of point of view of the people running a campaign, it's a lot easier to share more stuff. You're sharing stuff that you are going to be sort of selling rather than sort of campaigning from the position of like sales pitch, which for most creators is not where they're comfortable. I think sort of putting it out there and having people love what they do is great. But most of them aren't necessarily salesmen. Most of them aren't sales pitch people. Most of them don't do as well with that part of it. And so this is a huge success in my opinion, to sort of be in a position where you're talking about what comes next very early, rather than talking about what needs to happen in the next day or week or month, because that's kind of done. That part of the equation is, they've checked that box, so to speak. Now, like I said, they still got 34 days to go, so you know uh, barring Craig being in the Epstein files or something like that, like they're probably golden. I don't think he is. Don't that's I'm not suggesting that in any way. I'm just saying, barring some crazy catastrophic incident at this point, I think Cryptoids is gonna fund. And I think Cryptoids is probably on track to unlock, at least all the stuff that they've revealed so far. So, oh, there we go. Okay, good, good. Thank you. Can't confirm. Not in the files. But yeah, I mean, like this position allows them to be a little bit more sort of free and creative with what they show us over the next 34 days. Um, there's still a lot of work ahead. There's still a whole lot of work ahead. Speaking from experience, the Kickstarter campaign is great, but then the real kind of like grind of the work begins. And you start working with factories, you start working with people that might not have the same excitement level as you, and they might not have the same sort of motivation to get things done, and so that's where it starts getting to be a bit of a grind. But I have no doubt that these guys will get it done, and really, really excited about it. All right, so like I said, let's take a look at the campaign. So sitting at $190,000 plus, 960 backers, which is awesome. I think any campaign that can get that many backers, that much interest, is doing really, really well. And if they have this much funding and this many backers now, this is gonna follow the pattern that every other Kickstarter does. The first 2, 3 days, you're gonna see a really, really big spike. And then it's gonna sort of level off, and you're gonna see a little bit of sort of gain every day for the next 31 days or so. And then in the last 3 days, it's going to spike up again. So all the people that were waiting, whether they didn't understand, how Kickstarter works, whether they didn't understand, that they don't get charged right away, whether they didn't sort of know it was happening, whether they're just that's the way they are. Some people just wait till the last minute, and then there will be somebody the day after the campaign that says, "Hey, I forgot to put my pledge in." And it's like, what? You had 39 days, you had 40 days, whatever it is. Where have you been for 40 days? Anyway, that's Craig's problem, not my problem. But yeah, there's gonna be a big spike at the end. I foresee this hitting probably 400,000. And, at this rate, I could totally see this hitting 1,500 backers, both of which are fantastic numbers. And as I said, a really, really good position for sort of the launch of effectively a new company. So, YHS Podcast says we have a big surprise mid campaign. You heard it here first. There you go. So the 10 of people, the tens of people watching heard it here first. It's a good place to announce it if you want to keep it low profile. So thanks, Greg. They had people back their ultra high price tiers too. I think that speaks to the quality of the offering. That speaks to the quality of the project. That speaks to how unique this product offering is and how much fun it is. I think this project in a lot of ways feels very similar to what projects that I was involved in terms of Animal Wars of the Kingdom, where the big tier kind of all in things were really, really popular. uh Now, we didn't fund Space Zombies from Mars the first time around, but we did have a significant number of people that were backing the higher tiers. What that to me means is that people are in. People are like down for what you're doing, and hopefully there's enough of those people to sort of get your project over the line. And I think for Cryptoids, that's definitely the case. So, Josh Brown says he was backer number 2. He got sniped. I think I'm backer number 4, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I can't remember. I was a little bit late because I was driving to work. I had to pull over. I had to pull over and pledge, and then get back on the road. So I didn't even. I don't think I even looked. And Josh Brown says almost 200 per backer is amazing. Yes, yeah, yeah. And that's how it adds up, right? And that's if you give people a good enough offering, they will back that, right? They will back for that amount, and that's what you need. Let's see. Raceland Zero says me waiting for every campaign to have attention. There you go. There are I've heard lots of people that are like, "Oh, I wanted to be the one that pushed it over the funding goal." And then if they miss that, obviously, I guess like there's people that sort of wait till just before the end just to see that spike at the end. And that's fine. I mean, it drives creators crazy. It like if you're running a campaign, I would I'll be totally honest. If when we run Space Zombies from Mars again, I would rather everybody back in the first week, like not even first day, but in the first week, And then if we got funded, very quickly and we're kind of comfortable by the end, I don't need the spike at the end. The spike at the end is almost worse, because you don't know where it's gonna end. I'd rather it just be I would rather there just be everybody backs right in the first week, and then we go, "Okay, great. Here's what we have to work with." But that's not how it works. I get it. That's okay. Brick says, "We are tens, but we are mighty." Yes, agreed. Um, Brick something says, "The backing of the high price packages shows that people are interested in the whole line and want to see it exist beyond this first wave." Yes, totally. Uh, the 10 is mightier than the sword. 6-inch action figure scale sword? Sure. Um, Anyway, okay, let's finally take a look at the campaign. 190 and change. They're doing well. 960 backers. That's fantastic. What I will say about Cryptoids is that their pre-launch marketing was phenomenal. I think their use of social media, their sort of doing their mail out email newsletter thing for people that signed up, getting people excited, getting people hyped, getting the information out there, communicating with potential backers before the backers could even back anything, was really, really good. Again, as I said, the offering is super, super strong. It's fun. It has a nostalgic feel to it. It has that kind of late 80s early 90s kind of feel in terms of the figures, in terms of the lore, all that kind of stuff, but of course with more modern articulation, way better paint apps than we used to get. The scale is great too. I didn't expect this. I kind of thought when they were revealing the figures one by one that we were looking at figures that were all kind of around 6 inches tall. But the fact that the Mothman is 5 inches and then the Yeti and the Sasquatch are 7, with the Reptoids being kind of 6.5, and then the Greys being like 4 inches, phenomenal. Getting that much scale right off the jump is not something that most companies do. Uh, Space Zombies from Mars included. I think that's a huge, huge win for sure. That's a lot of tooling though. It's a lot of tooling, and tooling takes time. And communicating with factories, it takes time. So I wish these guys the best. Not now, but like in the next few months, because it is there. I know they're gonna run into like the frustration of sort of dealing with factories. So um, let's take a look at the offerings. So we got Mothman, the Prophet, standing at approximately 5 inches tall at $45, with his little totem, sort of magic focuser. There's a word for that. Um, the Noble Bigfoot with Ratatosker at $55, the sort of leader of the gang. From what I understand, I love this Bigfoot. I love this armor. I love how much detail has gone into it. I love the mushrooms and the moss and all the stuff growing on it. Ratatosker on his shoulder, just being there, the little sidekick. This is probably my favorite figure of the of this offering. Bigfoot is probably my number one. But the Tibetan Yeti is a very close second. And when he was announced, he was the first figure, and I've said this before, he was the first figure of the reveals that they did where I was like, yeah, I need that one. Mothman, not so much. I mean, I've said it before, I'm not really a Cryptoids guy. I don't necessarily need um I don't necessarily need more Cryptoids in my life. That's not necessarily something that I was like, you know what I don't have in my collection that I really want. But there he is. So, um, yeah, very, very excited to get these. Sorry, I had thought of something else I needed to check. My mind was elsewhere for a minute there. Shadow Mothman is very, very cool. I do like this. I do like this in terms of, where this could go with the lore. Um yeah, I don't whatever they're cryptids. This is cryptoids, but it's based on cryptids. I don't I'll be honest. I don't know what like if people are like, "Oh, I love cryptids." When a new figure comes out, I'm like, "Great, Jersey Devil is a cryptid." Okay. I don't know what another one is. I guess Bigfoot is a cryptid. Mothman, I suppose, is a cryptid, but I couldn't tell you another one. I don't I like I they're not on my radar. I don't I actually I don't know if Mothman is a cryptid or not, whether he's just sort of lumped in here. But anyway, that's beside the point. You make cool stuff, I'm into it. I don't think aliens are cryptids. So there you go. But they are in cryptoids. The Roswell alien in gray at $35, which I think is a really, really fun little figure. And we've got another use for this buck coming up. Heroes Series 1 Heroes pack at $180. So you get the 4 main heroes here. I haven't done my due diligence. I don't know if Mothman and Shadow Mothman are different characters or if Shadow Mothman is like another version of Mothman. Feel free to let me know in the comments whether you're Craig or somebody else. Um but I'm curious to learn. I'm happy to kind of sit back and sort of watch this unfold a little bit more before I get too deep into the lore. Because I'm honestly I'm just sort of enjoying the campaign. Like I said, the pre-campaign was phenomenal. I loved all the little videos and all that kind of stuff. And it just sort of it just created a really cool energy around the line. Heroes and Aliens pack at $240. So that's the 4 heroes plus 2 of the Roswell Gray aliens. Series 1 complete gets you everything that they plan to do. So it's the 4 heroes, it is the gray alien plus the stretch goals of the glow in the dark alien, as well as the 3 reptoids, 3 colorways of the reptoids, plus the jackalope, plus squonk. So some of those have yet to be unlocked, but I am very, very confident that they will be. So for anybody that wants kind of one of everything, $3.99, you're in. Get your pledge in for that, and you're good to go. You get the art print there as well, the 11 by 17 print to put on the wall, which is very, very cool. This was the early bird backing sort of bonus item. So a glow in the dark set of armor for Bigfoot. This was in addition to the armor that came with Bigfoot. This wasn't, a replacement or anything like that. So this was just purely just a bonus item, just a free item. Which is great. I mean, anytime you can get stuff like that in there, it helps. And for me as a backer, anytime I, have an opportunity to get a bonus thing that doesn't, require me to sort of go to the couch cushions to get a little bit more money, um, is always great. Now, it remains to be seen whether that, drove, the first few days of sales or not. I don't know. It definitely did for me, although I would have been there day one anyway. This was just sort of a pleasant surprise, and a very, very nice addition because I love glow in the dark stuff, as everybody knows. Um, Club Cryptoids. So this is where some of these rewards get interesting. Um, for $2,500, you can collaborate with the Cryptoids team to create, name, and design a future Cryptoids character. Which, if you're in a position to do this, this is a really, really cool offering. and the price point is really good. I'll be honest, it's expensive to make toys, and, paying $25 to get to create a toy effectively is the cheapest you'll ever get an opportunity to create a toy. Um, because molds cost money, sculpting costs money, design work costs money, like everything costs money, and I can assure you it adds up to far more than $2,500. Now, you don't just get to design the thing, you also get, complete series one. Um, so yeah, it's oh, and you get a membership card, which is awesome. I don't have $2,500, but I think this is awesome. I hope two people do this. Limited to two backers. Um, because probably at some point, it just gets too expensive to do it. Um, but yeah, I hope somebody takes advantage of that. I should check when we finish up going through this. I'll go and see if anybody backed that tier, or the Club Cryptoids lifetime pass and membership tier at $3,500. Enter the lore, name a future character, sit on a creative meeting, dedicated thank you on Series One packaging, um, all Series One and Series Two figures, exclusive prototype set, custom painted figure of your choice. I presume it probably comes with the membership card as well, although I don't think it's listed there. Oh, yes, it is. It's right there in the picture. It's up in the top corner. You can tell that I did my research for this one today, guys. But yeah, this is awesome. So this kind of gets you um locked in for the first two series. Whereas, this one is sort of series one. Everything else up to that point is sort of series one. That was limited to two as well. I don't know if two people have backed that or not, but we will definitely check. Stretch goals. Stretch goals unlock at 160,000, which has already been unlocked. 200,000, which is coming up very, very soon with Squonk and Jackalope. $250,000 is where the Reptoids start to unlock. So we got Reptoid Green at 250, the Blue at 300, the Albino at 350, and then a whole bunch of secret unlocks above that. I'm saying right now that I think they'll probably unlock that first secret unlock before the end of the campaign, if not more. But we'll see. Roswell Glow Alien is now unlocked and available to be added to your purchase at $35. The Jackalope is coming up soon, like I said, at 200,000. So is Squonk coming up at 200,000. So at 200,000, there's actually technically two unlocks: the Jackalope and Squonk. And then at $250,000, that's where we get the Reptoid. So for anybody that's sort of wondering, why is that one so much higher than the initial funding goal? That's a completely new figure. That's a completely new set of molds. Molds are not cheap. Um, yeah, it makes sense that this one's a little bit further out. So yeah, $250,000 where they sort of unlock the green one, which unlocks, the funding to get the molds and to sort of get this first color. But then you got production runs and stuff like that. So then you're looking at 300,000 for the blue, 350,000 for the albino. Um, and then once we unlock all three of those Reptoids, we have the option to add the Reptoid drone set for $138. So very, very cool. Add-ons are cool as well. So you got the sort of sobbing Squonk enamel pin for $10 that you can add on, and these are available for any tier. So you sort of back the campaign for any price, and you can add all this stuff on. So you can get the Squonk pin, you can get the limited edition trading card, which is hand numbered and in a case, which is pretty cool actually. And at $10, like that's very reasonable. Cryptoids enamel pin at $15. This thing looks really, really nice. This pin, gold plated green pearlescent enamel. I can't tell whether sort of the bits in the globe are sort of cut out or whether it's sort of solid. Um, I would prefer personally that it be sort of cut out, but we will see. Um, you can get the signed Cryptoids poster. So it's signed by the artist who did the poster, Matt Frank. 11 by 17, so it's a nice big decent poster for your wall or for your man cave or your office, if you can put something like that up, and if you have an office where you can put that up. The prototype set of 3 figures I think is a really, really cool idea. So I assume that these are probably like test shots. It's not super clear what stage these will come from. But I would assume that when they say prototypes, what they mean are the test shots, because that's kind of the first time in this in production where you can tell the factory, hey, I want, X number of each. Um, and that's where you see the figures that sort of come out of them. Come out of the molds in like different kind of wacky colors, which they've tried to kind of represent here, which is very, very cool. They're calling them production prototypes, which makes me again think that this is probably test shot phase. Um, so yeah. So they I think yeah, colors will vary. They've got sort of right on the thing there. So I think colors may vary indicates to me that they're probably the prototypes, or the test shot phase, where you don't really have control over what the test shots look like. They press them out in whatever color is sort of available in the machines or around the machines. Custom hand painted Mothman. Very, very cool. You get to pick your colors, I think is how I understand this. So if you want a yellow Mothman or a green Mothman or a red Mothman, or yeah, choose the color that you want. $750 as an add-on, which is very, very cool. Again, limited to only 5 pieces. So if you're sort of interested in something like that, I would say don't wait, because you might get people sort of jumping in at the last minute on those too. And then the stuff that people should read. I didn't. The lore, is there. They're kind of rolling the lore out by way of some of the social media stuff. Once you become a backer, you also have access to the Discord. So they have their own sort of Discord server where, more may be revealed. You might get sort of inside information and stuff like that. So all the more reason to back now while the campaign is going on, so that you can enjoy the campaign with other backers and sort of celebrate Cryptoids with the other backers. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm digging the lore. I'm excited to learn more. As I said, I'm kind of sitting back and letting some of the little. I get frustrated when I only get breadcrumbs. I'm frustrated right now with Cyberzoic because I want to know all the lore right now. So I've learned my lesson with them. And so with Cryptoids, I'm actually kind of sitting back. I don't want to know too much. I know that I want to know, and I know that the truth is out there. So I'm just sort of waiting patiently to sort of get a bunch of exposition available to me so that I can sort of go a little bit deeper on it. I didn't even read this. I'm waiting. I'm so read that if you want. I didn't yet. Um just in terms of who's involved, of course, the YHS crew: Jacob Walsh, Abby Gardner, Craig Goldberg. You know them and love them. Back today because it's Jacob Walsh's birthday. Tristan Miller, who is the Glowing Ghost on Instagram. He is the digital sculptor and co-designer working with Jacob. Tony Taylor of Tony Taylor's Toys is doing the 3D printing and prototyping. Not listed here, but Jason Bienvenu, you may know him from Spiro Toys, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. He is doing the paint, or at least he did for the Mothman that they did. And then again, it's a bunch of stuff that nobody cares about. Most people don't read it. I know that because I get emails and questions from people that didn't read it all the time. All right, so let's see. Comments, questions. What are you guys talking about? And then we will move on to a certain figure reveal. Sorry, I was not ignoring the comments, but I couldn't read them as fast as they were coming in. Brick, this is a question that I asked Brian this morning. Brick asks, haven't been following and should know this, but is there a chart? Asking Brian Brink. Brian Brink says, there is. Brick says, nice. Okay, I asked Brian Brink this morning because I wanted to share it. There is a chart. Craig has the chart. Craig hasn't shared the chart yet. So, out of respect, even though Brian Brink shared the chart with me, or may or may not have shared it with me. Sorry, Brian. I'm not sharing it today. I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like a giant spike. And then that's kind of where we're at right now. So it doesn't look like much. But it is a chart that looks good if you're running this campaign. It looks way better than the chart did for Space Zombies from Mars. I can tell you that much. But with any luck, the next chart for Space Zombies from Mars looks a lot better. Brick Something says, heard they were going to do a pair of FBI human investigator set. One was a red-haired woman they bravely called Scully, but yeah. Christopher Bouchard says, can't wait for Ash and Oath. I will probably be covering that in the future. For now, I love what Cryptoids is doing. Ash and Oath, I think, launches next week, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 weeks from now, or something like that. I want to say the 20th, March 20th. When's that? But anyway, I'll talk about that when that campaign is going on too. But yeah, Cryptoids. If you haven't backed it yet, go back it. There's no reason not to. At this point, it is funded. It's gonna happen. Now is your chance to sort of get your funding in to help contribute to sort of unlock the stretch goals and sort of push this thing to the next level. They look phenomenal, and I think they're going to be great figures. I have every confidence in these guys to follow through with a really, really great product. Yeah, so there you go. Cryptoids. Go back it. In other toy news, maybe that's it. No, maybe we'll wrap it up. No, we'll talk about it because we haven't talked about it at all. In other toy news, there was an unboxing and review on the Badass Reviews YouTube channel. He's got it on his Instagram as well, for this guy. So this is the Toylanta 2026 exclusive. This is Moshi-0. Carlos kept saying Moshi-0, but it's not Moshi-0, it's Moshi-0. And it's not easy to depict a difference between 0 and the letter O in terms of text. And so I'm here to sort of set the record straight and say that it is Moshi-0, not Moshi-0. That was nothing to do with Animal Wars of the Kingdom. That was the name that Brett, who owns and runs Toylanta, wanted for this character. So yes, Moshi-0. This is its existing parts. You know, it's that's there's nothing sort of new here. But the way that it's presented, the way that it's packaged, the way that it's painted is new. Um, let me see. So there you go. This is the packaged figure. Um, you know, you get lots of hands because you get alternate hands. You basically get one set of right hands, so three hands. You get the fist, the gripping hand, and the open hand. But then you get two sets of the left hand because you get them both in just the fur color as well as the red. Um, and then you get a sword and a dagger, and you know that's what you get. The packaging might look familiar. Um, you know, you know, it does look a little bit similar to another figure that may have come out in the 80s. That may be accidental, it might be on purpose. Um, but anyway, there it is. Side panel, which is somewhat recycled, to be perfectly honest. There is it's not exactly a perfect representation of the figure in the box, but regardless, there it is. And then the back again, which might look reminiscent of you know, something that you've seen before. Um, but there you go. There is Moshi-0. Let's see what else he got here. Some more pictures of the figure out of the box. Looking. There you go. That's the one. I like that one. Yeah. So there you go. There's Moshi-0. Let's see. Let's see. Red 5 said, AWOC time? Yes. Wraithland0 says, Brick has some explaining to do about this exclusive and not telling me about it. This is not. So here's the thing. This is not a Spiro Toys exclusive. This was not ours to talk about. There's been people that sort of accused me of withholding information from them as well. This was not our information to share. This was a project. This is a sort of an exclusive that's commissioned by Toylanta, and so they sort of determine when things get released, when the information gets released. They were the ones that, you know, had Carlos do this unboxing and in this sort of reveal. It had nothing to do with us. Otherwise, you probably would have known about it ages ago. Mr. Ryan Clark says, I hadn't seen the exclusive yet. That's rad. Brick says he has a red hand because he didn't listen to his mom. Yimbo is here. Good to have you, buddy. Christopher Bouchard, I live in Atlanta, but have to pass on Toylanta due to saving for my vacation. That is fair. I can relate with a vacation coming up for me in 2 weeks. Josh Brown says, got to put a line in the 0. That is like we explained it to the factory, and maybe that's just the, you know, the font that they used just sort of wasn't, they didn't have the strike through the 0. That's how I would do it too, but it is what it is. Nolan said, I said it last night, this is a perfect exclusive. I want it, don't necessarily need it, but I want it. Yes. This is, in my opinion, a perfect exclusive as well, because this is a figure that doesn't factor into the lore. You know, the packaging is different, the look is different, the inspiration is different, and so, you know, you're never gonna sort of flip through the comics and sort of realize that you're missing a major character if you don't have this. But I mean, I want one too. I don't have one. I don't have access to this figure unless Brett says that I can get one, because I'm not even going to Toylanta. So I'm sort of trying to wrangle a couple of these myself, but I'm in the same position as anybody else. I'm not going to Toylanta, so I'm going to be sort of waiting to see whether or not I can get any of these. Red 5 says, "Where's the name come from?" That's Brett gave us the name, or Brett sort of came up with the name. I haven't asked him what the name comes from or where it comes from. I don't know. Um I'm sure I could ask him. I'm sure it'll come out, soon enough. Um but I don't know. I don't know. Homage packaging too. Very nice. Yep. I agree. I think it looks great. I think it came out really, really well. The packaging was actually harder than you might think because we already have sort of a template. We already have a box that exists. Um, but sort of getting the elements where we wanted them and sort of having them look the way we wanted, we weren't 100% certain that it was going to look as good as it does until we saw the finished sample. Like until we got basically from the factory, we got a picture that looked like this with the figure in the packaging. And that was the moment we were like, okay, this is what we wanted. So yeah, I think it looks fantastic. I'm excited about how it came out. And I genuinely am very, very excited by the reaction that people have had. Um it's a pleasant surprise to sort of see how much reaction Carlos's posts have gotten, and hopefully that translates well to sales for Brett at Toylanta. Um, let's see. That Moshi has red hair. Be careful. Yeah, kind of barbarian looking too. Yeah, we're treading treading lightly here. Um, Josh Brown says there must have been a mix-up. Mine hasn't arrived yet. Mine hasn't arrived either. Um, Red 5 was messaging me yesterday about this figure. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think we're gonna try to get some inventory. um I don't know that Brett wants all the inventory on these, and I think we're gonna try to sort of get it so that we can have these at at least a few tables and very limited release at some other conventions or something like that, or maybe try to get a little bit of stock for Black Friday or something like that. I don't know. I genuinely don't know, and I won't know until after Toylanta. So there will be really no news from Spiro Toys about this figure until Brett decides how he wants to proceed. So there you go. That's part of the reason that Brick and I kind of didn't have anything to say about this, or couldn't really share anything about this, um, because it's up to Brett. It's a Toylanta exclusive. And for anybody that doesn't know how that works, basically this is commission. So, somebody comes to us and says, "Hey, we want an exclusive figure. This is what we want it to be. How much is it going to cost?" We sort of tell them and they go yes or no. Sometimes they say no. I have a prototype in my office of a figure that never got made because at the end of the day, the people that requested it decided not to go through with the process, and said, we'll hold off. Um, but Brett wanted to go ahead with this, so Brett is in control of this figure effectively. I think it would have been more fun if instead of putting Spiro on the toys, they put CT toys. I will never buy a CT toys. Um, Brick says, "How does the top armor not flop forward into a wardrobe malfunction?" Well, because that piece comes off a figure. I was confused by that too. That piece is sculpted in a way that it's actually glued onto the chest. It's not a removable armor piece. And the second shoulder strap isn't there not because we intentionally did that with this figure, but because that's how it is on the existing parts. I thought there was a piece missing, and then I realized that on the figure that this torso was made for, he comes with a shoulder pauldron, and so that sort of sits on there, so you don't notice it. So if I get one of these, I'm actually gonna paint a custom shoulder pauldron to go on there to cover up that spot, but that's just preference. Um, will this get a recolor as a general release? Everything in this exists already. So all these parts are out there. This is technically in and of itself a repaint. So yes, I guess it already did. You can go and order all these parts. This is a combination of a couple figures that exist. But all the parts are currently out there and available. Um, Toylana is Spiro just needs to I presume do orange and black striped tiger. We're going to. We've said that. It's out there. We're gonna do a tiger. Um Now when remains to be seen, but yeah, we will do a tiger. Mr. Ryan Clark, how long did it take for this figure to be produced? So production on a figure like this, because it really is just a recolor. Like I said, there's no new tooling. There's no engineering required. There was some back and forth just to kind of dial in which parts would be colored which way. Um, Production wise, like production for one figure really isn't that long. Production for a figure is a few weeks. Um, but the sort of development up to that point is as long as it takes. There's no how long I guess what your question probably is like, how long has this been in process? And the answer is I can't remember. It's been a while because that's the thing. Is like these develop over time. We had been talking to Brett about Faker. The use of the brawler to make the Faker figure that has been announced and will be produced once the brawler buck is ready to go. Um, but that was still delayed, and that we couldn't get to him in time for Toyland, and we knew that a while ago. Um, and just to sort of to we really wanted to get something to Brett for Toylanta 2026 because we kind of already were a little bit late. Um, we didn't follow through as we would have liked with the brawler. Um, and so he's still waiting on that. And it's still coming, as I said. So we kind of changed gears a little bit and kind of gave him another offering. We said, "Hey, would you be interested in something like this?" So the process had kind of already started in terms of us developing this figure. Then, as it was offered to Brett, and then sort of the process, changed schedule and stuff like that. So how long has this been in process? 8 months or something like that. It goes back to kind of the fall of last year, I guess. Something like that. Summer of last year. A while is the answer. A while. But just a little tidbit, if we look at existing tooling that we have now, just to sort of answer the question more directly, how fast can you produce a figure? If you look at what's in existing tooling and you can make a figure with what we currently have in the library, if I contacted Dave and said, "Hey, we need a figure as fast as we can possibly get one out. Let's do, this torso, these legs, these arms, this head, this. Here's the sort of paint scheme. Um, how long will it take to produce it?" The answer is probably 4 months from the we need this to, like, it gets on a boat, if that maybe that more directly answers your question? 3-4 months, depending, assuming there's sort of assuming that we can sort of get into the queue and there's not too much of a lineup for the actual production of it. 3-4 months. But that's also best case scenario. Things don't always don't always run that smoothly, but uh Raceland Zero. There's a faker? Yes. There is a figure coming called Felonious, which I have art for somewhere. But yeah, go back through the channel thumbnails and you'll see it. Josh says good pivot. I think so. Nolan says that faker looked really good. Not faker, it's Felonious. Not faker. Red 5 says love those blues. Yes. I think it looks fantastic. I do think I will put a shoulder pauldron on because I don't like the fact that it doesn't have that one strap. But that is largely a preference thing, I suppose. For anybody that's curious, there is Moshi-0 with another Toylanta exclusive. That is, of course, Agent Holiday, Captain Holiday, Mr. Holiday, as well as a Marvel Legends Spider-Man. There is Moshi-0 with Mr. Holiday and a Lion-O, totally unrelated to our figure. Moshi-0, Valiant Knight, Mr. Holiday. So basically, this is just the two Toylanta exclusives next to a whole bunch of other figures. But yeah, there you go. There you go. That's all I got. That's the news that I have related to Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. Check out Badass Reviews. He does a full unboxing, talks about this figure both on Instagram and on YouTube. There is a link to the Instagram. I think I forgot to put a link to the YouTube channel for the Badass Reviews. But go follow Carlos on Instagram. Go give him a subscribe on YouTube. Super nice dude. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with him a couple times now. We hung out and broke bread at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was an absolute pleasure. It was super fun hanging out with him. So yeah, go check out the Badass Reviews, and who knows, maybe he'll get more reviews earlier than anybody else, and before I know that the news is out there. Fun fact, I was getting messaged from people asking what this figure was before I knew that Carlos had posted the review, and I had to ask everybody, where did you get this picture? Where are you getting this information from? Because I had no idea that he had it out there. But it's out there now, so we get to talk about it. Brick said Carlos is fantastic. Good people. Yes, he is. He's just a really good dude. Looks like you should follow him too. Yes, I should. I thought I had. Okay, here's the thing. I haven't followed Badass Reviews on Instagram because I follow Carlos, like his account, which I'm not going to share on here because I don't know. Like I'm friends with Carlos. I'm not friends with the Badass Reviews. So there you go. That's why no, Instagram's not being dumb. I just that's it. It feels redundant. It feels redundant to like follow somebody and also because I don't do a lot of Instagram stuff. I don't understand how Instagram works. So I typically kind of follow people to like chat with them. I communicate with a lot of people through Instagram and through Facebook. But yeah, I full disclosure, I do not follow the Badass Reviews on Instagram, but you should. If you're not friends with Carlos, you should follow him on here. If you follow him, his personal account, you probably don't need to follow this one. That's my Nolan says, is that Lexion's chest armor? I think yes. Yes, it is. It's Lexion's chest armor. We also used it for a horrid troop figure. I think there's a third figure that uses it as well. And then this one. So yeah. So yeah, it's out there. It's existing armor. But the other figures that we've used that figure for have a chest or have a shoulder pauldron that sort of covers that shoulder piece. So Brick says WonderCon, Anaheim, California, 2 weeks from now. Come hang out with me and Adam. Buy Spiro toys. Ask us for spoilers. Yes, do it. Come. We will. I'd be happy to share things. As long as you can prove to me that you're not recording what I'm saying, I will answer any question that people have about Spiro toys or Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. Because as long as it can't get traced back to me, there's no way Jason could know that it wasn't him that said it. So yeah, come hang out with us at Legions Con. At Legions Con, do that too, but that's not till November. Come hang out with us at WonderCon in Anaheim. We're just sort of putting together what we're gonna get shipped out there for product. We will have quantity of the sort of the newest figures that we have available. So the Necro Armor Pale and the Feralist Ranger will have stock available at WonderCon. The Moshi-0, I don't think we will have. So if you're coming to WonderCon and hoping to get that, don't base your trip around that. You know, we're gonna have a limited selection. That's the other thing. Going forward at conventions, you know, we are getting to the point where we have too many products on offer that they fill up too much of a table. So we're going to be a little bit more strategic about what we have. To that point, if you are watching this and you intend to go to WonderCon, if there's a product that you want to pick up at WonderCon, please let me know and I will make sure that it is available. But no guarantees of what's going to be on the table beyond, you know, that we're going to have product on the table. But we're getting, like I said, we're getting to the point where there are so many figures that they just get really messy on the table. So we're kind of strategically figuring out what's going to be on the table, and we're going to have, you know, a good offering on every table at every convention, but we're not going to going forward, we're not going to have every figure at every convention. So as I said, if there's something specific that you need or want, let me know. Help at spirotoys.com, and I will make sure that that you know, I have at least one, or you know, however many you need. I'll make sure that I can get you one. So, Christopher Bouchard says, "Did you see the Atlanta Savage Crucible figure?" Maybe. I'm not. Is that the wolf guy or is that the knight guy? I know that they have a new figure for Toylanta. I just don't know what it is. As I said, I'm not going to be at Toylanta. I also don't collect Savage Crucible. I am drastically cutting back on sort of what I'm collecting. And so I'm trying to not there's an element of like there's an element of like avoidance around some toy news if I can't get it, or if I sort of not trying to actively collect the line. So Brick said, did you see the Fury Toys Tiger? Yes, that thing looks phenomenal. And again, space not being an issue, I would probably buy both of those tigers. If you want to know more on the Fury Toys Tigers, tune into Brick Show in 20 minutes, where I'm sure he's going to talk about it. Raceland Zero says, can't wait for the Brawlers. I got them on pre-order. That is awesome. I can't wait for the Brawlers either. We're just sort of finalizing the last little updates to the molds and to the packaging and stuff like that, and then we'll move into production. So we're getting so close. We're getting so close. But yeah, as we've sort of said, the next time we're going to announce anything date wise will basically be for the day that we're going to start fulfilling orders. So between now and when the brawlers are starting to leave the fulfillment warehouse, you're just going to hear us say we're close. We're just doing the last little bits and pieces. So, Christopher Bouchard can't wait for the lizards. Yes, working on that too. We're working on that too. There's so much going on right now. We have so much going on, and um, for my part, I've only recently become involved in that side of things. I was just doing customer service emails. I was just sort of being kind of a sounding board for Jason. Now I'm just bullying Jason into more efficient and more effective uh, planning. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, and we are working as diligently and as quickly and as efficiently as we possibly can. Um, Brick says, I have a type and much less willpower than Adam. I don't know if that's true. You definitely have a type. I don't know that you have less willpower than me. Um, if rumors are true, supposedly Mattel is clawing back the TMNT licenses, so we might have more money in our pocket. Oh, like I don't know that they would have to claw them back. I suspect, and I don't know about this, but I'll just sort of speculate on this based on your comment alone. I don't know anything about this. My guess is that Mattel, there may be people that have licenses that are related to Playmate's license, and Mattel, who becomes the sort of master license holder to make TMNT toys, might effectively be going around to all the companies making TMNT and saying, "Hey, just so you know, we need to audit your license." And it's entirely possible that most, if not all of those licenses were indirectly through Playmates. So it's entirely possible that we go from every toy company in the world having, access to the TMNT license to one company having it. So we may go from like an absolute glut of options and choices and things of TMNT to a very, very limited supply of TMNT stuff, which I wouldn't be angry about. If they hit a reset button, um, it might not be the worst thing. Uh, but then again, I don't collect a ton of turtle stuff, and if I was a huge Turtles fan, maybe I'd feel the opposite. But anyway, uh, bullying Jason to a creative businessman. It's okay. So I don't think that Jason would be offended in any way by me saying this, and Jason is a fantastic creator and has a great vision of what he wants the IP to be. Um, and he's very ambitious and he's very eager and he never stops. He never slows down. Um, my job is to get him to slow down. Not in a creative way, but in the way of not getting too far ahead of ourselves and focusing on um needs versus wants. What do we need to complete in the next day, in the next week, in the next 30 days, in the next quarter, in the next year? What do we want to do in that time frame? What do we want to do going forward? So it's you know I'm not trying to yuck his yum. I'm really just trying to yin his yang. Maybe? I don't know. I don't know if that's the way I want to say it going forward, but yeah, it's just it's a matter of um really getting all the logistical details lined up and really keeping all the plates spinning. I'm keeping all the plates spinning while Jason's making more plates. Maybe that's a better way of sort of explaining it. Country Boy Niner says I want an AWOC Cryptoids crossover. Well, you kind of get one because Jason painted the paint master for Mothman. So there's definitely like a good relationship there. There's definitely a good crossover potential there. Maybe you know what I just thought? Maybe there's a crossover for like a Cryptoids AWOC in like what if we use the Brawler Buck to make the Sasquatch in like the same way? We'd really just need a new head and new armor piece. It's possible. It's not happening. Like it's possible, but it's not happening. It'd be cool though. Again, that's the kind of thing where it's sort of like in a perfect world where we could just think of a toy today and make it next week. Absolutely, but that's really not how it works. Josh Brown, in relation to the TMNT licensing thing, says, in a weird way, I kind of hope it consolidates. It's a selfish reason and mostly about my own inability to control myself. I think for a lot of people that might be the case. Yeah. Brick says, feel like that would be bad for Mattel. I assume they want existing TMNT fans and toy collectors to not hate them. Yeah, I think it's I I think they're gonna have to come out of the gate with some really strong offerings for TMNT fans not to hate them. Even though Playmates was not doing great with the turtles. I mean, those re-released turtles and there's ankles and stuff like they were not great. I genuinely think Mattel can do better, and I really hope that they do. But I think they're gonna have to win fans over for sure. Um Josh Brown, there you go. Mattel might also be saying they want to do them better. And I think maybe that's the case. I think there may have been a little bit of a mandate from Viacom, who owns the master license for the IP, TMNT IP. They may have cut Playmates because they didn't see Playmate. This is purely speculative. This is purely my opinion as somebody that has some of the stuff that Playmates has put out, that I thought to myself, with all of the stuff that's out there on the market, these should be better. There's no reason that these aren't better. Uh maybe Viacom had the same feeling and maybe they approached Mattel and said, "Hey, can you make this better?" And Mattel was like, "Yeah, we can." And maybe that's it. So there you go. Mr. Ryan Clark says, "You're not a wet blanket, but more of a slightly damp blanket." No, I'm like Jason lives in a tent, and I'm trying to get him to at least rent an apartment. Like, just be here and do this and be committed to this instead of saying, "I want to make this." I'm like, "Okay, you can make that, but you got to make this first. We got to focus on this." Anyways, Nolan says if they do some turtles based on the Origins buck, I might pick up a few. I think if they use that articulation and they just redid the original vintage stuff, I think it could be good. I think it could be really good. Mint with card popping in to say hello, prepping for the Oscars. Good to have you, albeit briefly. All right, a lot of Mattel TMNT talk, but we'll circle back to that, I'm sure, when Mattel releases some TMNT stuff, or at least reveals some TMNT stuff, which I don't think will be that much longer. I mean, I think San Diego Comic-Con is not that far away at this point, and I think if we don't see something from them before San Diego Comic-Con, I think that might be where we see, um, a big grand sort of opening of the IP, with Mattel. So excuse me. Um uh Brick, and this is exactly it. We don't know the real reason Viacom chose Mattel over Playmates, but whatever it is, they opted to not continue with Playmates. That alone says a lot about how they felt. I think, yeah, that's where my head is at. My head is at, I think Viacom kind of saw that there was, I think Viacom saw what fans saw. That Playmates had kind of gotten stale. Um for better or worse. They had the license for decades, and looking around at the rest of the market, like you look at vintage He-Man versus Origins He-Man, there's objectively an improvement there. And the Origins figures are well done. The Origins version of the Turtles that Playmates did are not well done. They were not well received. They aren't good. Like, it wasn't even, like, just subjectively people didn't want them. Objectively, they weren't that good. Um, yeah, they did some stuff well. Playmates did that last Ronin figure. It's really cool. I actually still have that figure on my display. But it could have been better. It could have been way better. They didn't add any articulation into that figure where they should have, to really elevate that. And it's a completely new mold. Like, it wasn't like they were, that's where I think a lot of people are a bit confused or a little bit let down by what Playmates was doing, and maybe Viacom felt the same way. Um, it's more. Mr. Ryan Clark says it's more likely that the TMNT license was up for renewal and Playmates couldn't match Mattel's offer. I don't know. While that's possible, um, I don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know that. Um, yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe Mattel backed the truck up and said, "Hey, uh, we're willing to offer, twice as much as whatever your deal with Playmates is." I don't know. Um, let's see. Yeah, more TMNT stuff, but Raythlin Zero said it's unfortunate. I just didn't like the ankle articulation. Yeah, it was the ankle articulation was garbage. The hip articulation was garbage. They did not do a good job of those figures. It was brutal. They were brutal figures. I had like, and I have one. Like, I bought one and I was like, oh, this is any good. I'll buy the rest of the turtle. I always buy Donatello, and then if that one's good, I'll buy the rest of the turtles. I bought that Donatello. It wasn't very good. I didn't buy any more. Let's see. K-pop Demon Hunters. I don't know what I don't know how that relates to the rest of the chat, but I'm excited about those Mattel K-pop Demon Hunter figures. Really excited about those. Anyway, it's 3:37. We're coming up on an hour and 30 minutes for this episode. And we are about 10 minutes out from Brick Something's News. He has got a very, very cool guest on today. He's got Alan. Alan is somebody that I know through Ostradamus Clubhouse. He's a really big deal in the haunted house community. He owns a haunted house. He builds haunted houses for other people. He builds props for other things. He's a toy collector. He's doing really cool custom stuff. He has a snake lair, like his custom built snake lair dio, that's like 15 feet long by like 10 feet tall. He's definitely a guy that has some stories. He's a guy that has been doing this for a long time. So jump on over to Brick Something's channel to check out the news with Alan. Yes, and that's a good point. It's not news with Alan. He goes under the social media wise. He's Vine Jungle Figure Factory. So yeah, go check that out. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. It's always fun to hang out and talk about toys. Next week, I believe we will be doing monkey business. So come join us next week to talk about what you can expect at the conventions that are coming up in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, everyone will be at a convention. So I won't have a live video in 2 weeks, but we'll be back next week talking toys, whether that's monkey business or it's just me talking about the TMNT license. Remains to be seen. But yeah, see you next time. Bye-bye.
Now that's a country song. Living and loving and driving fast cars, whether I'm here or I'm on Mars. I'm gonna die young, baby, that I know. I'll leave a beautiful memory when I go. Well, I woke up this morning feeling pretty damn tired. I was up all night at a moonlight fire. There was beer, whiskey, beautiful girls, but you know can't afford no diamonds and pearls. So I told them I was famous for singing this song. I thought for a while I'd strung them along. One said, fellas, got a pretty good game. Tomorrow I won't even remember his name. Well, living and loving and driving fast cars, whether I'm here or I'm on Mars. I'm gonna die young, baby, that I know, but I'll leave a beautiful memory when I go. I'll play that just like your daddy taught you. Now that sounds sweet. Guitar picker. So I went to the fridge, grabbed myself a beer. I jumped in the car that I wanted to steer. I told them guys I'll be back in the jiff, but I accidentally drove my car off a cliff. So now I'm dead, but the song remains. Even though I scattered all of my brains on the inside of my black T-bird. I hope y'all remember these beautiful words. Well, living and loving and driving fast cars, whether I'm here or I'm on Mars. I'm gonna die young, baby, that I know, but I'll leave a beautiful memory